Hello, it's Stuart Crawford here again with another podcast. Now, there's been lots of coverage in the media this week over speculation that Britain is considering sending a squadron's worth of its Challenger 2 tanks to Ukraine. That would equate to roughly 10 to 15 tanks by most people's reckoning. And in fact, it's just been confirmed that 14 are going to be sent. Ukraine has been crying out for Western main battle tanks, or MBTs, for months now. So this can only be a good thing, no? Well, no, to be honest. Certainly not from a military point of view. But first, a declaration of interest. I was part of that small and perfectly formed group of staff officers who recommended that the German Leopard 2, not the British Challenger 2, be procured to replace our ageing Chieftain tank fleet back in the mid-1980s. I have written extensively elsewhere why we advised so, but suffice for the moment to record that we were ignored. Which is part of the reason why the UK now finds itself with a small, obsolescent tank fleet. Economies of scale allowed the German model to be continuously upgraded over the intervening period, while Challenger 2 had minimal improvements. Leaving that aside for the moment, why is the rumoured offer so underwhelming? Well, for starters, 14 tanks is a drop in the ocean relative to the number of tanks that Kiev needs. Ukraine is a big country, and the front line, such as it is at the moment, stretches for over 1,000 kilometres. The Ukrainians need hundreds of Western tanks before they can even contemplate going on a general offensive. Second, thanks to that well-known British exceptionalism when it comes to arms procurement, there's nothing about Challenger 2 that's compatible with the vast array of equipment that Ukraine now fields. Nothing. So it would have to bring with it instructors to train the Ukrainians how to use it, a light aid detachment from the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, or REME, to fix it when it goes wrong, as it will inevitably, logistics support, its own ammunition, which is non-NATO interchangeable, and spares, to name but a few. The sad truth is that Britain, the inventor of the tank, is not really in the tank game anymore. When I served with the 4th Royal Tank Regiment in the British Army of the Rhine in the 1980s, we were able to field some 900 Chieftain tanks across the British Army. Today, with good luck and a following wind, the Army might, and I repeat might, be able to put out about 100 or so Challenger 2s in the field. That's roughly 2 regiments worth. It would be a struggle, and they'd last about a week in combat. This evisceration of British tank numbers has happened partly because of the parsimony of our elected representatives in government, aided and abetted by a lack of attention to conventional warfare by successive military chiefs from light infantry backgrounds, who became mesmerised by fighting the historical campaigns of the Northwest frontier all over again in Afghanistan and, to a lesser extent perhaps, in Iraq. I could name them, but they know who they are. But we also are where we are. What Ukraine really needs, as I have written before, is modern tanks in numbers, and the only real contender is the German Leopard 2. It's available in quantity, it's highly effective and reliable, and is already fielded by other European nations. Plus, it has a much shorter supply chain to Ukraine. But countries like Poland can't send theirs to Ukraine without Germany's blessing, and that's where the blockage now lies. As you may have surmised by now, I don't think there's any point, therefore, in sending a slack handful of Challenger 2s to Ukraine. Not from a military perspective, anyway. It would be more trouble than it's worth. Possibly, it might show some symbolic purpose and encourager les autres to pressure Germany to relent. But that's about it, really. Regrettably, the United Kingdom has more or less retired from the tank game now, and it's probably best left to others to provide what President Zelensky needs.